everybody. Jennifer Blevins-Smith here. I hope you're doing well. Now, to calculate how much the reimbursement is, it's a little bit of a complicated calculation, but there are three main things that go into being considered. The first thing, and it's about 50% of the reimbursement calculation consideration, is the physician work, like how much of the physician's time is spent and taken and needs to be reimbursed for a specific Medicare beneficiary's services by code. So 30 to 44 minutes with the provider here. So 50% of this reimbursement is considering the physician's time with this. The other part of the calculation, which is about 44% of weight in this, is the practice expense. So this goes into your location and your rent, your staff, your overhead cost, okay? And the last part of the calculation weight is very small. It's about 4%, and it's how much you would be paying for malpractice expense in order to be able to see these patients and other patients, of course. So the calculation also takes into consideration the GPCI, and that's the Geographical Price Cost Index. So depending on where you are in the country and how expensive things are or not expensive, there is a conversion factor or a consideration in that calculation that takes that into consideration. So we know that California, Oregon's not too far behind, New York, they tend to have a little bit higher cost of living and cost of services and overheads than someone that maybe lives or practices, in the South or in Idaho. When I worked for the allergy office, we had practices in Washington, Oregon, California, and Idaho. And Idaho's reimbursement was significantly less than those of California's because of that GPCI part in that calculation. So if we scroll over here, a lot of these things don't make a ton of sense, but here's that GPCI. So this is the work. This is the physician work. This is the bulk load of what's considered. So if you see, it's 22 thousandths, I hope I have that right, of consideration difference than the rest of Oregon. So they get a little bit more weight for the geographic location and the physician work that gets calculated into this formula. The GPCI, this is your practice expenses, PE. So you can see that's, quite a higher difference there because the cost of living in the Portland metro area is significantly more than the rest of Oregon. And then you have the malpractice, and it's the same because usually rates are, pretty comparable no matter where in the state you're going to practice. And then we have the work RVUs, and right now the work RVUs for everything is 1.60 for this E&M code. Now, depending on your specialty and what services you offer, your RVU will change by CPT code. So we're just going to go over here, and there's some other things, that I don't really pay attention to, but, these are things that you definitely can look into if you're curious. And right here, you're going to see that it keeps going. The global X's means that there's no global time frame to be including coverage for a patient if they're seen by the CPT code that's billed out. Global would be any kind of like surgical procedure where you get to, see your patient within so many days and you don't charge their insurance again necessarily, but you do bill it out showing that it's part of the global fee. And you just kind of come over here, there's all these surgical things, and 99203 is an evaluation of management, so it doesn't apply, so it just has a 0. And we're going over here. Okay, so here is the conversion factor. Now, the conversion factor is what changes at least yearly, and usually Medicare decides in November what the next year's conversion factor is going to be. So we chose 2021, and it's 34.8931, okay? And if you look right here, it says that the conversion factor went from 33.59 in 2022, and that is a decrease from 2021. 2021 was 34.89, And then this year it's 33.59, so it dropped actually $1.30. So, that's pretty discouraging. You never like to see when Medicare drops their reimbursement because, let's be honest, they're already pretty low. And it's something that you really need to look at because, unfortunately, our costs and overheads have gone up significantly this year with inflation, and we lost money essentially. So these are things that really need to be paid attention to, especially in the fall of the previous year, but coming into a next year, and something to anticipate when you are needing to set up your fee schedules or changing your fee schedules. So, okay, we're going to go back to here. Here we are. And this just gives you a really good overview of how much you can expect. So let's say you have a Cigna contract and they're going to pay you on RVUs for 2021. Well, if you're going to be running reports and comparing prices, you want to make sure when you're doing this search that you're choosing the 2021 fee schedule in order for it to show all of the correct amounts and conversion factors and considerations in all of that calculation. Now, the things that you need to be aware of is, let's say a contract says they're going to reimburse you 120% over Medicare. Then you would take whatever Medicare says they will reimburse in your locality, your MAC, for that code, and then you can do the calculation to figure out how much higher above the 115.87 you should be expecting to be getting paid from just straight Medicare, from your contract that you have. Let's say Cigna is 120% over, then you would calculate that to figure that out. Now, when you bill out your codes, you want to bill higher than your highest reimbursement because you don't want to be shorting yourself any reimbursement at all. So if your highest contracted payer pays you 200% over Medicare, so essentially doubling this, then you want to make sure you're at least billing 225% or 250% out so that the payers will do an appropriate adjustment and you will be getting reimbursed the full amount that you're contracted for. I hope this helps. If you have any questions, leave it in the comments. I will put these links of some helpful things that will help you. This is the most updated guide of what MACs by state. So this will break it down into those 3 different things I talked about, whether it's Medicare A and B, home health and hospice, or DME. It will break it down by state and tell you which ones to be using. Here is another really nice tool to calculate your RVUs, so I will put that in the description. Here is a little bit of information regarding the calendar year of 2022 and the final rules that came out. And here is the link. You can find it also on the CMS fee schedule homepage, and I'll show you that in just a second. But this is how to use the lookup tool, and it will go over more of those columns that I didn't go over with you today. But if you wanted to look and figure out, what those mean and how to use it, I will put this link in the description as well. So, here's that, where is it? Here is that download this physician fee schedule guide. That's this thing right here. So you can have easy access, but I'll put the link too because I think that will be helpful. And there's this thing, and then there's this page. I'll put the link, and you can look up the different jurisdiction maps. The A and B is probably the most applicable to the most people watching this channel, but as you can see, my jurisdiction is F. We use Noridian. Jurisdiction E uses Noridian. This is F. But see jurisdiction H, Novitas, WPS, CGS, Palmetto, FCSO. So it's really good, and this is the most recent on here as well. So I'll put all these links. If you have questions, please leave that in the comments. Of course, please smash that thumbs up button if this was helpful today, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet. Thank you so much for the support, and I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves and staying well. Bye-bye.